This is the Breakfast Jam with Myra Maloba, and we are getting started on our interview today. We're so excited. Yesterday, we were at the Gambero Rosso wine roadshow. It was such an amazing event. I think all of us are just looking like yesterday, and we're feeling so excited to have had such an amazing event. We do have interviews that we'll be showing later on Icon Radio, as well as BTS from the day that you can find on our stories. That's iconradioke. So be sure to follow, and find out what went down, of course, from the eyes of myself and Sylvie. The food was amazing. The wine was amazing. We all left feeling quite happy by the end of the day, even though the rain caught a lot of people off guard. We do have our guests in studio. I'd like for them to introduce yourself. We'll start on from Mark.
Hi, everyone. My name is Mark Artival from Vinpodium, a wine consultancy.
Mm-hmm. And we have?
Hello, everybody. My name is Giuseppe. I work in Gambero Rosso. I'm editor-in-chief of the wine guide that we presented yesterday.
Right. So, Mark.
Yeah.
How long have you... Let's start with how you got started.
Oh, nice one.
Yes.
So, how did I get started on wine? I'm a consumer like everybody else.
Right.
And then I was approached to take the Prosecco boom about 10 years ago. Getting that into Africa, Zambia in particular. And then after that, my eyes were opened. The Prosecco won an award, the Gambero Rosso Trebiceri Award, 3 glasses. And from there, I was hooked.
Oh,
and that's
amazing.
how I got into it. And I would say that we probably spend a lot of the wine events, etc. And that's about... if we do that to sort of promote the wine, and so that's kind of where we fit into the world.
Right. First of all, Africans have interesting tastes when it comes to alcohol. They're your heavy beer drinkers. They're your when gin came into the market, gin drinkers, and now whiskey. Yep. How was it received in Zambia when you got started off?
So Zambia is very similar to Kenya, right? In terms of these are beer countries. Let's be blunt here.
Yeah.
But beer and spirits country. But wine is improving. So by that I mean the appreciation for wine in general is good. But we're now entering a phase where and I think I can generalize on this, but you can correct me if I'm wrong. The whole thing is about the growing middle class.
Yes.
And the aspirations that come from that, and the lifestyle changes that come from that. And wine fits into that.
Right.
So that's the wave that all wine should ride on.
Right. And
in particular, Italian wine.
Actually, you're right. We're like fine wine. When we age, our palates change as well.
Sure.
We stop from the heavy stuff, the shots, the stuff like that, and now go into now a more refined palate.
Sure.
Could you also let us into your origins?
Yeah, I'm from Cagliari, Sardinia, and I study in my city. I study communication, and then I was so passionate about wine. And after university, I do the sommelier courses. And then Gambero Rosso, my company, organized a master after university, a master about food and wine journalism. So I did a master 18 years ago. And then I started with Gambero Rosso.
Okay.
Yeah. And now I'm, as I said, I'm the editor-in-chief of the wine guide. And then Gambero Rosso is a big media company in Italy about food and wine. We have also, we don't have a radio, but we have a TV channel on Sky TV.
Yeah.
And we have also a website, where we have a magazine, etc. And I write about wines, of course, basically about wines. And from 2019, I go with Gambero Rosso all over the world to present the guide. I did masterclass.
Right.
And yesterday for me was the first time here in Kenya.
In Kenya. Yeah. How was the experience? You had a full class, 2 full classes.
2 full classes.
Yes.
2 full classes.
How was the experience?
I said that yesterday we had a lot of friends, wines, and people that frequent the masterclass,
Yes.
and just one enemy at the time, because we
Yes.
tasted for each masterclass more than 20 wines
Yes.
in 1 hour and a half.
Yes.
So few words for each wines,
Yes.
but it was incredible because people stay very, very attention about our words.
Yeah.
And I have a partner was Vicky. Vicky is a fantastic woman,
Yes.
and she know a lot about Italian wines. So it was incredible.
I tried to get in. I got in late. It was like trying to get into the club and everybody was freezing. They're like, no, it's full. But I got a bit of it. And even there were faces that I knew. And it was so impressive to see how much they were taking in. Like you said, the interest was quite high. I got to ask both of you, why Kenya?
Okay.
Please, Mark.
Yeah, well, why not? I'll just add briefly to what he said, which is there were two enemies like yesterday. The rain.
The rain.
Right.
The rain, yes,
But
true.
we'll talk about that a little later on.
Yeah.
So, look, why Kenya? I see Kenya as, it's a hub, right? So if you are going to generally put your footprint on the continent, what you should really be doing is South Africa, Kenya,
Right.
somewhere in West Africa, and then grow from there. So that's one aspect. The other aspect, which actually feeds into what he was saying, is that, Kenyans do know a lot about wine, right? And they're curious and, well versed. So what that means is that if you come to an event like Gambero Rosso with all those wines there, you will either see wines or taste wines that are great but can't get hold of.
Right.
Or if you don't know anything about wine, you ask. And the questions you ask means that the population's curious. They want to know about wine. They want to know about new things. And when you have that kind of dynamic and the growing middle class and what and all this sort of stuff and restaurants and hotels, it's pretty hard to beat coming to Nairobi. Yeah. So that was most of it. And then as my colleague here said, they go
Right.
and sorts of cities and
Sorry about that.
they go around the world to I don't know 40, 50 cities.
Right.
And Nairobi is an international city. So it's that, in summary, the market, the people, and the fact that it's an international destination.
Right. Okay. So yes, us as Kenyans, I'd say also I had to change with time because, of course, we're not. Unfortunately, time is also not on my side.
Right.
So the appreciation for wine is growing, especially around people around me. And now you're finding a lot more restaurants are coming in and they're doing the pairings.
Yes.
They're giving a better description into the wine so that people are able to experience what they actually like. And that's what we experienced yesterday. Yesterday was so amazing in that each company took the time to explain each wine and the notes and the pairings. It was a different experience. Is it what you had hoped for when setting up the event?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, you think it's going to go like that. You hope it's going to go like that, but you can't expect that. So, we came here last year, right? That was the inaugural one.
Yeah.
And then I'd say there was even less expectation on my behalf. And it went really, really well. So it's now that we know how it works,
right.
We're good.
Great. Italian wine. We first of all, we take in a lot of South African wine.
Yeah.
First of all, it's the argument is that it's quite expensive when it comes into the country, but also the experience with the Italian wine, the tastes are quite like, even especially when it comes to the rosés, it's quite different. We've always been getting the sweeter side when it comes to the sweet wines. Sure. I think you've experienced wines from across the world. What would be the difference between, say, South African wines and Italian wine?
A difficult question. Yeah, for me there are a lot of difference.
Yeah.
Because I think that sometimes we made a mistake when we compare two different wines just because the grape is the same.
Okay.
So, for example, in South Africa, there are some, as I say, we say international grapes that we have also in Italian. Okay. But for me, the grape or the grapes, the blend, are just one part of the wine because it's most important the terroir. So it's most important than the grape, the soils, the climate, the elevation, for example. So if you taste a Cabernet Sauvignon from South Africa or a Pinot Noir from South Africa, for me is some characteristics, some notes are similar, of course, because the DNA of the grape is the same, but other things are completely different.
Yeah.
Okay. There are some wines, for example, where the vinification, the way the vinification, for example, the sparkling wines, determine the characteristic of the wine. So in this case, maybe there are some similar notes, but in general are different. And I think that it's the power of Italian wines is the biodiversity, because we make wines from north, from the Alpine side to the deeply south, in the islands, Sicily and Sardinia, and we have a lot of different, more than 3,000 different grapes.
Right.
Okay, and we can make a blend with different grapes, and we have some wines that the grapes grows at 800 meters of elevation with the volcan soils, for example, but we have also some grapes that grow very close to the sea in the sandy soils. And this is the characteristic, this is the power of Italian wines. So for me, obviously for some people that start to learn wines, it's good to talking about grapes and some similar note for the grapes, but to talking in the right way for Italian wines, you must speaking about the different climate, different soils, different position of the vineyard. Yeah.
Okay. The business of wine. What opportunities do you see bringing it into Kenya? Because first of all, you guys, it was impressive how many people you were able to pull, how many businesses you're able to pull to come and exhibit at the event.
Oh, okay.
And because again, for some of us, it's a new experience.
Okay.
Seeing that interacting with that many number of exhibitors was amazing.
Okay.
How were you able to convince them to come and exhibit? Especially because a lot of them it was their first time. They are looking to be able to import.
Right.
And of course the time was not on our side. How did you convince them to come in?
Okay. Firstly, some. How many did we have? We had 43.
Wow.
Right. Last year it was about 33.
Wow.
Some didn't return, and then some new ones came.
Okay.
But the bottom line is that what happens is two things in terms of the convincing. Firstly, everyone took a leap and came. They want to explore new markets naturally, and by explore I mean they don't necessarily expect things to just happen immediately, but you've got to step in, you've got to see what it looks like, you've got to understand Kenyan culture, etc. So they did that, but then the experience for them was so good that they now start telling their friends. They're in the wine world, etc. So when you now try and go back to them to say, okay, are you coming? Now everyone wants to come, right? Because it's the experience, so you built upon that.
Right.
So that was really how that works. But that's all done by Gambero Rosso within Gambero Rosso.
Right.
Yeah. So also for Gambero Rosso, when we decided to go in Nairobi for the first time, we think yes, we try, and then maybe we organize after 3 or 4 years one more event. But it was incredible last year.
Absolutely.
And the producer asked repeat the event next year because it's very important for us.
Amazing.
Because they saw that the people the wine lovers, the importers, the sommelier, the restaurant owners are very curious about Italian wines. I think there is a link with the Italian culture.
Yes.
Yeah, because wine is not is not a simple ingredient.
Yes.
It's something that have a lot of culture beside. So I think that in general, Italian people are very curious about African culture, and there is I don't know what, but there is a very close country, and I think that Kenyan people try to know the Italian culture, and the wine could be a link between the culture, the knowledge for Italian experience.
Yeah, totally agree.
Actually, we love speaking personally, I love Italian food. Anything just
Yes.
the pastas, the cheeses, it's so amazing. And for us to get a lot of the experience, we get a lot of the experience here in Nairobi.
Of course.
But in the coast is
Yes.
where now it's just right by the beach. It's quite amazing. Have you guys thought of also just taking it down away from Nairobi, being after this first two experiences?
No, it's a thought. I know that there's a big Italian community on the coast, and who knows? One thing I would mention is that people from the coast did actually come to the event. But for sure, it's something that maybe would have a big Nairobi event and then a smaller one another one in.
Yes.
So we thought about that, but there was good participation in terms of attendance and. The restaurant awards and all that sort of stuff.
Right.
Yep, that's another thing.
Yeah.
That meant that we know that there's not just Nairobi.
What was the challenge for the first edition and the second edition of putting it together, apart from the rain?
Yes, I'm based in London, so I'll accept that I probably brought the rain myself.
Second import.
Yeah, yes, definitely an unwanted import. So other than that, no, look, it's you got to understand that Gambero Rosso has been doing this for 20, 30 plus years.
Yeah.
So in terms of the actual format and how you do things, there is a set way of doing it, and then you tweak it for whichever country you're in. But as you said earlier, we have a fantastic local partner that we worked with, Victoria Muniwoki. She's the face of wine so far as I'm concerned. And so if you're working with someone like that and you have a PR company on the ground, you have people on the ground, and you have that kind of connection where people want to do things.
Right.
Then that's how you overcome those challenges.
Right.
Yeah.
And as a Gambero Rosso, we organized 2 different tours.
Yes.
And yesterday we presented the Top Italian Wine Roadshow.
Yes.
Are dedicated to the wineries, very important wineries in terms of quantity that have already the market in the classic market as a USA, Europe, or Japan, and explore the new markets. And then we organize also the Tre Bicchieri tour, the 3 glasses tour. The Tre Bicchieri tour is just for the wineries that award with the Tre Bicchieri. But in this period, a lot of wineries that win the Tre Bicchieri ask us to come in Kenya. So probably next time we can organize also the Tre Bicchieri tour here in Kenya. I think it was a good idea.
Absolutely. I mean, what I'd add on that is that's why there were some wines that were, some of the wines that were there yesterday. I've been to some of the events in Europe, some iconic wines were there. So, if you tasted some of those, it just that was a good enough experience.
100%.
It
was an experience, especially because especially when, a company would present it to you and say, these are our prime wines.
Yes.
And you feel very special, especially being in the event and be able to, especially experience that. When you're bringing the companies into the country, do you advise on prices?
Right. I understand.
how they come into the market.
Right.
Yeah.
So predominantly, these are business guys that have, the wineries are small companies or large companies, but the actual companies. So they know their pricing, they know their products and stuff. So what they do is when you are, so if there's like an importer having a conversation, if we were eavesdropping, right,
Yeah.
there would be an importer talking to the producer, and it will go something like, "Oh, this is fantastic. I think we could do something, etc., etc." And then the importer would probably say, first thing, "How much is it?" And the producer would say something like, "Look, the X Works price is X, but let's talk." That means that, okay, that's when you kind of negotiate things and you take into account what's the pricing in the local markets, etc., etc. So that's when it happens. It doesn't really happen beforehand.
Right.
Yeah. So they know what prices they would like,
Right.
but they also know that they have to adjust according to what happens on the ground.
Yeah.
Taxes here are different.
Yeah.
What gets charged in the different places,
Yeah.
the other wines, and that's how it comes
Okay.
about.
Do the wineries ever express after the event their what they loved about it,
Oh, yeah.
and what challenges they could see in the market, especially in the Kenyan market?
I would say the wineries, look, they obviously there's a feedback loop in terms of what they experienced.
Yeah.
And there's nothing stopping them because, this is the initial kind of entrance, so to speak. So what would happen is, if they've met importers, etc., that they like, they'll just talk to them and arrange to come down properly and have discussions, etc. But all the comment that my colleague here made was that from last time, if you remember what he said, the producers are the ones that said, "Hey, not sure what you guys are thinking when you think you're coming back, but we want to come back
Nice.
this year because the feedback was so good
Amazing.
on all that, on every aspect."
Okay. Speaking of, sorry,
Yeah, for me the feedback was first of all the producer told me about the curiosity of Kenyan people for the Italian wines, and also the knowledge about the Italian wines. They don't know that some main characteristic of the Italian wines they know very, very well. So it was easy for producer talking about traditional grapes of different denomination or the region. And they said the knowledge about the wine business is very, very high. So it's easy for me to communicate my wines, also if it become from a very, very small denomination in I don't know what region. And this is very important.
how do you see this bridging the gap? Because Italy and Kenya have very rich cultures.
Yes.
Very rich. I love even the tokens you guys gave us, the mix of the Kenya and Italy. How do you see it, the roadshows bridging the gap between Italy and Kenya?
Okay, you can expand on what I'm going to say, but I'm going to steal a couple of lines. I think what we were alluding to earlier is that wine and the culture of wine and food, gastronomy, so to speak. By having an event like this, it's almost like a linkage stroke doorway between the two cultures, and then as you interact in an event like this, and that's the key thing. It's an exchange of it's actually a cultural exchange.
Yes,
right. You go away with bits of Italy. These guys go away with bits of Kenya just from the interaction.
Yeah,
that's kind of what I think.
I think, of course, is a metaphoric synthesis. I think that wine is a kind of bridge.
Yes.
And with the podium, Gambero Rosso, we construct a bridge between Italy and Kenya.
Yeah.
Because it's incredible wine. Because in a bottle, you can have this bottle in few days all over the world. And inside the bottles, there is wine, but there is other thing. And it's incredible that in a bottle of wine, you can arrive, and you open the bottle, and you taste, and you have an aroma, of course,
Smell.
but
Yes.
the smell is a smell of a country, a culture, etc. And yesterday, I'm sure that we constructed the bridge between Italy and Kenya.
100%. What are the key opportunities for Kenyan traders and importers to capitalize on the growing demand for Italian wines in the market, in your opinion?
Well, in my opinion, so I think you said earlier that if I've got this right, South African wine, then probably French, and then Italian, right? In terms of consumption, that's the order of play. So all we're saying here is that this is I may be a little biased like you because I love Italian wine, but the point is that there is pretty much a grape in my mind, a wine, a taste for almost everybody because the variety is unbelievable. So as an importer, you get a hold of Italian wine and then you can, the market's growing. There are new hotels here. This is a place where hotels are happening all the time.
Right.
The young guys are young professionals who want to do this sort of stuff. So in short, the market's growing. What it has to do is feed that market, right? So, and this is just a way to get your portfolio to be a little bit more diverse,
right?
And that's always good in my mind.
I come back for a second about the price, because I think one of the value of the Italian wine is the price.
Yes.
We have a lot of very, very high quality wines with the honest price.
Right.
In our guide, we have a special award every year is value for money, and but it's difficult for us, for the wine critic. Show is the best wine for value for money because we have a lot of Trebicchieri that in Italy, for example, cost less than €10.
Yes,
and this could be a possibility to Kenyan market. So. Think about these high quality wines with the honest price, and that are wines that are good on our nose, on our palate, but are wines that have all the characteristics of the terroir.
Yes.
So represent in totally Italian terroir. So this could be a possibility to Kenyan market.
It definitely is. And just to summarize what he said, what I was actually trying to say, but I didn't say as well as him, is in one line I would almost say, I said that there's an Italian wine for anybody, everybody's taste.
Yeah.
I should have added at every price point.
Yeah, absolutely.
That would be the summary.
That is, price points is a very sensitive thing here.
Yes.
It's always good to hear.
Everywhere.
Yeah.
The whole world is suffering right now in terms financially, so everyone watches their pockets, but that's the key. The range is there. So when you're an importer and you say, look, I want to talk about this range, that's there. If you want to talk about high end, it's there.
Right.
It's all there.
Going in line with that, marketing is a key aspect of any importer. What support would they expect from Gambero Rosso and Vimpodium?
Right. So the way I see that question, which is the one question I love to avoid, but I've thought about it. But here's the thing. Yes. The relationship when it comes to the market is really between the importer and the producer. Right? Correct me if I say anything wrong. Gambero Rosso is like an overarching type of organization.
Okay.
Getting the producers together and exporting the culture and the wine, and you have to talk about your book as well. It's important because that's the big thing about blind tasting and all of that. But the key here is all those type of questions are about the importer talking to the producer and them going, right, yes, you've bought X, but we don't just want nobody wants a one-off sale. So how do we go about promoting? How do we go about having tastings in different places? Because you guys do lots of tastings, right? Those are in Nairobi.
Even here in studio, we do lots.
So you know what I mean. And then the support, you may not see the support when you do the tasting, but I guarantee you that the producer, if it's a producer like the ones that were at the Gambero Rosso place, and the importer would have talked about how they're going to do it over the next year or the next 2 years. Yeah. And so that's where the support, etc., comes in.
Right.
Yeah.
Totally agree.
Good.
Yeah. As a Gambero Rosso, we try to simplify the meeting between importers and producers with our guide.
Yes.
Because we tasting more than 50,000 Italian wines every year. We have our rating, very known all over the world.
Yes.
And with our guide, we try to simplify this meeting.
Right.
Yeah.
Who was your target for the masterclass, and was the intention met?
Yeah, I can jump in on that one.
Yeah.
So there were 2 masterclasses.
Yes.
The first, and it, there were selected, got select invites and all that sort of stuff. But the first master class was mainly strictly almost importers, trade, people that really wanted to, from a business aspect, wanted to get involved, but very knowledgeable on wine already, right? And so you probably felt that in the room. The second one was more open to, more or less trade, but with some wine lovers, but knowledgeable wine lovers. Because the thing with a masterclass, excuse me, is that you do have to have some sort of grasp of wine to fully appreciate the masterclass.
Right.
If you don't have that grasp, you can still get all those learnings in a more succinct way by walking around the main barn and walking around the main display. So that was the idea.
Yep.
And actually, I mean, these classes were full within a day of saying that they're going to. It's that shows you how, in my mind anyway, that we got the right people to go, and hopefully they enjoyed it.
Yeah, I agree with Mark. I think, the target of the 2 masterclass was more or less that you said. But in general, the knowledge of the first and the second was very, very high because if I think about the question that
you asked,
it was incredible because if I said, for example, Primitivo is a grape from the south of Italy. Everybody knows Primitivo.
Yes.
Probably somebody was the first time that he tasted.
Yes.
But everybody knows the word. Or Amarone della Valpolicella.
Yeah.
Wow, Amarone. Yeah. Yes, of course. I know very well.
Yeah. And you would not necessarily find that when he's talking about, in comparison to other markets, that this is a knowledgeable market, he's not talking just about other African countries.
Yeah.
He's talking about worldwide.
Oh,
he goes around the world,
and
he goes to certain places.
Yeah.
And we're not going to name or what. I know you go to places where the knowledge isn't like the knowledge in Nairobi.
Right.
So that's what is also so unbelievably impressive.
Right. So how does this event provide a unique platform for importers to connect with Italian wine producers and explore new business opportunities?
So I think it's 2 things. One, what he was saying about the simplicity, simplifying the offer, so to speak, and putting it in one place where you don't have to get too much into, do too much research, because by the nature of them being there already, and it's pretty good. But I think also that it's a case of the relationship, or you're giving them a platform to talk in, but it's not quite a trade fair. So I don't know if you noticed this. So sometimes you go to trade fairs and it's, men in glasses like me in a suit, being very boring and just sort of, how much is this? And then walking off and doing whatever.
Yeah.
This is a convivial type of place. Right. So what it means is that you almost get you even mentioned it yourself. You go to the producer, it's almost like you're meeting a friend of yours.
Yeah.
And then you're talking, and that is the key thing that Gambero Rosso brings. It brings all the other stuff, but the actual creates an environment where everybody feels like they can have that cultural exchange, even on a one-to-one basis. And that is very, very important. Yeah. And Gambero Rosso is kind of unique in how it does that, because I've been to other things and you can get all the wines, you can get all of that, but that relationship, it's very important.
100%.
Yeah, this is another aspect, because the event was yesterday was fantastic, because I think about the communication in Italy about wines, and in the past maybe the wine critics, also the sommelier, made a mistake about the communication. So a lot of formal words, a lot of technique Anglicism, a lot of sentences more that you don't know about the wine, so you do know nothing. And something changed also in Italy. We try to simplify the communication. We try to use other words, for example. But I think that yesterday was a great example how to make an event not just in Nairobi in Kenya, but all over the world. So we have take this example of Nairobi and export the event, the model of the event.
The model of the event around the world.
Absolutely.
I'm so glad you said that. So, another way of saying that is that Nairobi was just, it's just amazing. And we need Nairobi. I almost feel like saying, are you listening in Los Angeles?
Right.
Are you listening in London? That type of thing.
But we are global, so you're allowed to say that. So you're very much so. And you're right. It was kind of like creating pen pals. I exchanged so many numbers with people who are looking to import, but also others who are looking to, when they did import, to market, even through our platform. It was amazing for it to be easy for me to be able to interact easily with the producers, whereas, it wouldn't normally happen on a day-to-day basis. So that one I'll attest to. And lastly, how does Gambero Rosso ensure the quality and authenticity of the wines showcased at the event? And what value does this bring to the importers?
Quality of wine.
Quality and identity. Because I said that now, maybe in the past, the quality, also for the wine critics from Italy, was just the complexity of the nose, the taste, the balance, the harmonium between the strong part and the soft part, the alcohol, etc. Now we have a lot of very, very good wines. So the difference between good wine and excellent wines. And the excellent wines, of course, is a good wine for our nose, for our eyes, for our palate, but there is something more. And I said that this more is a respect the producer must have for the grapes. Respect the DNA of the grapes. So respect the nature, the respect of the soil, because it's important to communicate the soil. Also, if the nature, for example, thinking about the hot climate in the last years, in the last harvest, but it's important to respect also the hot climate. And I think we have made some wines that are not so perfect, but very, very unique, with identify the terroir. Because it's important that I give you a bottle and I said, this is good for your nose, for your palate, but this is identify my soils, my climate. So, and if the question is similar to Napa Valley wines, no, it's different. It's not better. No, it's not worse. It's different. This is very, very important in the future to communicate the wines.
Absolutely.
Would you be willing to create an exchange program in future, and that also Kenyans get to visit some of the wineries in Italy? Because that came up a lot yesterday.
Well, that's interesting because, I don't know whether that question is directed at Gambero Rosso or not, but what I will tell you
it is actually.
Well, then they'll jump in. But basically, last year, people went to the producers. They met all these guys. When they usually say something like this if you've had even more than a 1-minute conversation. When you come to Italy, if you want to come to Italy, talk to me. I will host you, or I will do this, and people actually took that up. So it's happened informally. In terms of like a formal exchange thing, that's a question for strategy of these guys, Gambero Rosso, right? But I think what's important here is to understand a little bit more about Gambero Rosso, in that it's, he alluded, it's got different. There's a school, right? There's a actual wine school and all that kind of stuff that people can go to. But yeah, that's that's the general answer I would give. And I don't know if there's a more specific thing for Gambero Rosso. But
this is one more aspect of our connection. After, for example, 2, 3, 4 years that we organize an event, after that we organize also a kind of incoming. So we invite some importers, some sommelier from Kenya in this case, to come in Italy, and for example visit a special region to understand the characteristic of the soil, the sorghum, traditional grapes.
Absolutely. And some of the actual events they do in Italy, sometimes, I know that importers have been invited over, and actually not just importers, personalities have been invited over to go, and personalities that are wine lovers, right?
Yes.
That are to go and experience some of the amazing events that happen in Italy, because as these guys are busy, they're doing events. I don't even know how they do it, right?
Yeah.
It's like, almost 50, 60, maybe even 100 events a year. Who knows? So, I'm sure you hope not. But there you go.
What do you see the future of the events being? What do you see what
would I like to happen?
Yes. What would you like to happen? How far do you see it taking the relations between Kenya in terms of the wines? Because you're intending to have another one next year and so forth and so forth.
I mean, my personal view is that it should be a fixture, right? It's almost me half pitching, by the way.
Right.
But no, I seriously speaking, I think that as long as there's interest for both sides, and I think there will be, that I don't see why it won't be some sort of permanent fixture. It doesn't necessarily have to be every year, but I just see it going on forever, because it's a bit like saying advertising or something. You pitch it, you advertise, you spend the money, you do the first bit, and then do you just leave it? What happens to that? The brand disappears, the goodwill disappears, etc. So what you need to do is maintain it, and the only way you're going to maintain it is by continually coming back. And as we said earlier, how many producers are there? There's squillions. So there's always going to be people, at least from this side of you. There are always importers growing. There's a growing economy. So there are always going to be new importers that want to, experience new wine. And on that side, there are always going to be producers who want to keep that relationship, grow that relationship. And some come for the first time. So it should just continue. Right. That's what I think.
Amazing.
Yeah, for me, it'd be very important to organize more masterclass. For example, with focus on the special region.
Yes.
And identify a special target, for example, a masterclass just for a sommelier, just for restaurant owners, or just for importers. Because obviously change the target, change something that the people want to know, and we see that the two masterclass are successful. So. Organize more masterclass with different focus could be a good idea.
That is a very good idea.
All right, let's finish off with some quick fire questions. Hosting friends at dinner. What would be your wine of choice, and what would you pair it with?
Okay, I can do wine of choices. You can do wine of choices and pairing. So I'm just going to talk about my last dinner. A style, the welcoming when people came in. I like sparkling, so it was actually Franciacorta. So this to me is the equivalent of champagne,
right?
But it's sparkling made in the same way, but it's like from Italian, right? So you call it Franciacorta, right? That's how you enter. Then we had meat dishes, and I kind of liked. I'm a fan of Amarone. So any excuse to drink it, I will drink that as long as I've saved some money.
Right.
And, so Amarone and steaks is what we did.
Oh, good.
But that's it.
Okay. That's as far as it goes.
So I know that you meet a lot of vegetables, and you prefer, maybe, I don't know, this is true, you prefer the white meat despite the red meat. And why I did say, because when there is a white meat, in general, we pairing with white wine.
Right. Yes.
But if you use tomatoes, for example, something change for the taste and change also the color. If you change the color, you have to change the color of the wine. It's a chromatic combination.
Yes.
And I love white meat, for example,
Yes.
with tomatoes, and pairing with Lambrusco. Why Lambrusco? Because it's very easy to drink. It's a very simple wine. The price is very, very honest. So everybody could buy a bottle of Lambrusco. But if you buy a Lambrusco with character, it's good the Lambrusco and it's good the pairing with the food.
Thank you for that cheat sheet. It makes it so much easier to plan.
Exactly.
Guys, thank you so much for being with us here in studio. It's been amazing just peering into the minds of experts in the industry. We look forward to more of these events. I hope you guys have enjoyed your time in Nairobi despite the rain.
Oh, we have.
Great.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you. This has been a moment with Gambero Rosso right here in Icon Radio. Looking forward to more of these events. We'll catch you guys on the flip side.